Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the weekend wrap. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet because I've got things to do. First things first, I want to give a shout out to Dylan Shima, who beat Ryland Charlton in the Boxer Series. I only knew, I think it was Brooklyn Tilly, Sean Cooper and Ryland Charlton. They were the only three names I'd heard of. So I went with Ryland Charlton just as maybe they had the most experience out of all of them. He got to the finals, lost the UD to Dylan Shima, who I've recently found out as a former kickboxer as well. So congrats to him. Hopefully he moves on and does well in the game. I didn't see the MTK card last night. Don't really care to. And I didn't watch the BT Sport card either. So yeah, I don't know any of the the winners and losers in that particular card. So apologies if you came here hoping that I might give you some insight on that. I didn't even bother Google it. That's how much I did not care. Anyway, let's go over to Matchroom real quick. And before I even get started, yet again, I've got Campbell Hatton going on a bill like after a legit world champion. And I'm not happy about that. When it was Sky was pushing a narrative I did not like with regards to Campbell Hatton, and yeah, it was just Conor Benn didn't get that same treatment, and when he was getting that treatment, he realized that it wasn't the right thing for him. He moved himself off of them kind of cards or going lower down. Initially, I was told that that Campbell Hatton was supposed to be getting. He was supposed to be opening the show, which is cool. Like, if you have your building fight, yeah, that would have been the right place to have him. But having him after Alicia Baumgardner, just because it's Manchester and that's hometown. All right, if that's the case, you put him on first, more people come to the show earlier. Would that not then make sense? And then he still doesn't have that same, that same worry and nerves and stuff. Look, he performed marginally better than the very last time I watched him fight. I didn't watch all of it, to be honest. I did take a bathroom break and go get some food and stuff because I wasn't interested. But he, from what I did see, he's a knockout waiting to happen when that level gets stepped up yet again, because it's not all clicking. There's not much there. But I'm not going to stick on that. Alicia Baumgardner, the bomb, Alicia Baumgardner. It was a shutout performance. It was measured, it was composed, and it was very good, but it wasn't excellent. I was hoping to see excellent. It could have been excellent if she had worked to the body a bit more. Like, the headshots were there, but because Matisse was covering up quite a bit, it was going to always be hard to break down, to sort of catch her with enough flush shots to hurt her, like, without, because you could stun her with one, but then she'd brace and tense for the others. That's kind of, sort of South American. That's just how they are. Like, you might be able to hurt them with the first one, but you're not normally going to get them down with that unless they're really tired. And when she was getting to the body, doing her combinations, like it was body head, like she was really having some success. And it's almost like if she had have employed some of the tactics that Caroline Dubois employed against her last opponent, where the opponent just got their hands up high, just trying to block the head, but there was a lot of body to work with. That's what you do. Like, flood that basement, make sure those hands have to come down, stop her from being able to take a decent breath. She's going to have to bring the arms down sooner or later, and as soon as she brings them down, then you land them power shots, because they were hurting, they was having an effect, but she just wasn't able to get off more than one or two at a time. But the movement was brilliant, the pivots was brilliant, like the stance, the way she crouched down low to generate that power into the shots, like it was all there for a highlight reel knockout of a person that's never been stopped, and for you to make a big statement. It's just a shame she wasn't able to do so. Maybe she was also a little bit tired. I think she didn't really have a long camp. She was obviously training, but she didn't have a long camp for this fight. Neither did Edith Matisse. She was only added to the bill like 2 weeks ago. She probably only found out that she was going to be on this one maybe 3.5, maybe 4 weeks. So I'm not critical in that sense. I just know I've seen her perform better, and I don't mean the Terry Harper fight, but she's a class act, and I'm looking forward to the unification with Choi, and finally the undisputed fight with Mayer, provided that Mayer wants to actually cross the street, so to speak, and work on his own, because there's no way that fight's going to happen if it goes on Top Rank. I just know that for a fact after what happened the last 2 times. But yeah, good performance overall. Maybe she wanted the rounds in the bank, because I know she had a little injury, a nagging injury, which stopped her from being out in March when she was supposed to be out. So hopefully that sort of everything else is sorted there and she gets cracking moving forward. Billum Smith and Tommy McCarthy. Now, I thought McCarthy would actually win this fight, because I felt like he actually won the first fight. It was his gas tank that kind of let him down from closing the show, and he looked in a lot better condition this time than he did last time. So I thought he's naturally sort of the better boxer, more fluid, more fluid rhythm based guy. So you just do what you was doing last time for longer and you'll get the victory, you'll get your belts back. But Billum Smith has improved a lot more than he did in the previous fight. He still wasn't I think it's more to do with his trainer than him, though, because like naturally the one thing he had the size on Tommy McCarthy, so he would just bully him, pushing him to the ropes and keeping him there. When it was like in the center of the ring, or like before he was able to sort of push him back, McCarthy was having a lot more of the success. He was landing first, he was hitting sort of combinations, and Billum Smith just seemed a bit slower to the task. But McCarthy, when he was really, he was just letting himself get pushed about, get leaned on, or lent on, I should say, which made him really tired. And you could tell he was gassed from like the 4th round. After the 2nd round, the boxing just kind of went to nothing, and he thought, let me just try and tough it out with this guy. I mean, look, he caught him with I think it was a great shot at the end of the 4th round. And Billum Smith was badly dazed, but the bell literally saved him, and he walks off, and you could see the way he was walking to his corner, like he almost like didn't know where he was at that moment. So 30-40 seconds more, McCarthy might have been able to do something different. But yeah, I mean, look, credit to Billum Smith. He imposed his will. He made sure that the fight was fought the way he wanted it to be fought. So he used all of his attributes, pushed man back, got him on those ropes, gave him that wind wiper treatment, sort of little light taps. The light taps mixed in a couple hard shots in there to the point where McCarthy didn't know what to brace himself for. Ultimately ended up face first on the floor. As he was getting up, had a little shake of his head like, I don't think I can do this. Didn't beat the count and got knocked out. Billum Smith, rightful winner this time. No arguments, no debates, no controversies, nothing. So Shane McGuigan's got another one in there. I still do not think that Billum Smith does anything at world level, or I don't think he becomes champion unless it's a vacant belt against the no-hoper. But I've been wrong before. I could be wrong again. But outside of that, he is good. He's good fun to watch. So I like having him on the shows because he can be hurt and he can hurt. So yeah, large up to that. Now, with regards to Conor Benn and Chris Van Heerden, obviously I predicted Benn to win. I did predict the knockout, but I did say there's a possibility it could end up being a points thing if Van Heerden, sort of takes him into his stride, just being the bigger guy. Sort of bigger guy, sort of a bit more seasoned, longer levers, the southpaw stance, which Ben's not used to. Plus, he's fighting for something. And normally, when you've got someone that's fighting for something, they're a bit harder to get away and sort of, get out of there than someone who's really just kind of getting through the motions or has come for the paycheck. So, sort of being that he's got the memory of his father and everything, and this was their moment and he wanted to do it for him, I just thought he would have a lot more resistance than what ended up happening. Now, first round, I actually gave him that round. I thought he did very well. Like, Ben sort of sprung in a few times when he hit him. Like, I think he was shocked a couple of times of maybe how quick and athletic Ben was. Like, the way he crouches and the way he explodes is quite offsetting, off-putting. You're like, oh, wait a minute, like, and it takes you a moment to adjust. But outside of that, like, Van Heerden was, he was hitting him with the double jab, he was hitting him with the jab left hook, the jab right hook combo, sorry, he was throwing quite a bit off of that right hand, and Ben was having trouble finding his way on the inside to land anything clean. So I thought, oh, okay, so if Van Heerden carries on just doing this, that's going to put him in good stead. He's going to sort of be able to take Ben sort of at least 4, 5, 6 rounds. And then from that point, that's where Ben's going to have to work out and sort of adjust the tactics of how to get in. But ultimately, Ben fundamentally made that adjustment on the fly using his explosive nature. And he did what you basically do to a southpaw that's not elite. You hit them with the southpaw killer, and he hit him with that straight right off of the 1-2 combo. Van Heerden didn't see it coming. He got rocked onto the ropes, tried to hold on, then decided, it's almost like he tried to hold and Ben wouldn't let him, and then he didn't even bother try again. It's like, damn, I'm out. I don't know what's gonna happen next. And then bang, 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 3 shots, went down, stayed down, like couldn't get up for a while, like. And yeah, look, Ben impressed. So right now I want to see a fight against Maurice Hooker. I still like that fight. I think, you know, Maurice Hooker was giving Virgil Ortiz all he could handle up until the point he popped his hand. So that would be a good fight for me. Outside of that, he was talking Mikey Garcia, Adrian Broner. I like the Broner fight just for the build-up. That's the only reason I want to see a Broner fight. But in terms of the actual, the both of them, I don't really... you know, that's just going to be a Ben's just going to outwork him all night. So that one wouldn't necessarily be as interesting. But the Mikey Garcia one, look, he's technically better than Ben. Like, you know, 3-weight world champion, but he started his career down at like 126. And realistic, or is it 130? No, it's 126, went up to 130, yeah. So, but he's naturally like a really smaller guy. He's not the biggest puncher either. He's got decent pop, but nothing major. I'd rather see him go in the ring with Danny Garcia or like a Keith Thurman next, if they could be made. Like, just because I want to see him in there with someone that can actually punch back. Garcia would definitely be the hardest punch you'd be in there with, and he's a counter puncher, so you can't just unload and let off shots. You've got to be a lot more defensively switched on. I want to see how Ben works when he's being in there with like someone that hits hard, you know, and you have to think about the shots that you're landing and being defensively responsible as well as being offensively astute. And that to me would be the next level of progression. After that one, I mean, Virgil Ortiz and Boots Ennis, I don't see either of them. Well, Ortiz is already getting up to 154 because he can't make 147 comfortable anymore. We saw that from why he had to pull out of the last fight. The blood issue that he had came from the fact of trying to make a weight and trying to do a weight cut that you can't sustain. So that's that. Boots Ennis is a 160 guy, somehow managing to get himself down to 147. I can't really see him staying there past 2023 as well, especially if he manages to get a title shot. So I don't really see him being down there, which means that could give Ben the chance to, you know, progress and stay down there and try and get one belt, maybe even 2 belts, and just sort of, you know, fight mandatories, whatever. And, you know, look, he can do his thing. Still 25, still mad young. He ain't even got to have a title fight until he's 27, 28. So he's still got a good few years to go if he needs to. But yeah, the level's gonna step up. It was a very good performance and good adjustment. And congrats to Conor. I mean, like I said, I knew he'd win. I just did not think he'd win as quickly as he did. Not before Algieri. Like, that was that was impressive. So congrats. Right, if we move over to the Showtime PBC card real quick. So, Radzav Butayev and Emmanuel Stanionis. Now, with Stanionis, I actually thought that he would... I thought Butayev was going to win. I thought he would just be a bit too busy, a bit too big, and a bit too strong for Stanionis. But Stanionis put in one of the best performances I've ever seen from him. Judging by their faces at the end, you would have thought that, you know, Stanionis was in the war and Butayev was kind of just chilling. But no, like Stanionis, like he was beating him to the jab. He was popping his head back with 1-2s. He was hitting him with the backhand lead often. Like, Butayev did not move his head at any time in the fight. He was switching from orthodox to southpaw to try and change the look, but it still wasn't having much of an effect. Like, Stanionis was standing his ground. He wasn't hitting and running, he was staying in the pocket. Butaev was literally trying every dark art he knew, hooking, like holding the head down, like pressing down on his head, punching at the same time, getting him in headlocks and trying to punch. Like, he was really going for that body, hoping that it would open up the top half of Stanionis, but he was resilient. He took his licks, but he gave out just as many, or probably gave out like double, to be fair. Butaev eventually got a point taken off, like right towards I think it was around 8. He got a point off, which effectively killed any chance he had of winning the fight, although somehow we managed to get a split decision on the cards. While I don't agree with it, I can half see why one judge would give him 7 of those rounds, because there was some rounds where his body work looked like it was having more of an effect on what Stanionis was doing, but ultimately I agree the right person won. I got my pick wrong there, but I was quite happy to do so. Cody Crowley, I didn't see the fight live because I fell asleep after the Stanionis and Butaev fight, and I literally woke up just as the main event started. I've seen both of the fights now, that one and the Cruz one, but essentially Cody Crowley, UD, as I expected he was going to win. I said that Isaac Cruz would get Gamboa out of there within 7 rounds, and from what I understand, I think it was the 5th or the 6th he beat him in. So yep, that was another one. Now the big one was Spence and Ugas. Now I thought that Ugas would actually get this one on a decision, possibly like a split decision, purely because of Spence. Look, he's been inactive. He's had 2 fights in the last 4 years, and the Garcia fight, while I've never watched the whole of it, everything I've watched of it, it didn't look great to me. Garcia, I feel like, was just the right opponent because he's not someone that pressures or even throws a high volume of shots. So it was like just that was basically his warm-up fight coming back. Then you're out of the ring for 14 months before you fight him. Then you're out of the ring for another 16 months after that fight to fight Ugas, who's recently fought last year, July. So he's only, he's been out of the ring, 8 months, 9 months, but it's a lot less than you. So he's been active within the last year, whereas you haven't, and he's been fighting a bit more regularly. Plus he's dealt with the southpaw. Like, Ishmael Salas is a better trainer than Derek James as far as I'm concerned. So I just thought all of those ducks would align. But it was weird because Ugas was literally coming into the pocket like he's trying to fight Spence's fight. Spence was being very active. Like, he's actually fought, to me, probably the best he fought since he fought Kell Brook. He seemed energetic, he seemed active, like the punches were fairly accurate for the most part. But it was weird because Ugas was just shelling up in front of him, not really doing much. I thought, okay, he's waiting for these counters, and he would counter him occasionally, but it's like there was plenty of times where he could have punched between the punches if he really wanted to, and he just didn't. And I'm not sure why. There's people talking about, it was a fix, he wasn't supposed to, and I don't really know about all of that. I just feel like he just wasn't making his... He just wasn't implementing what he should be doing. But it's weird because every time he touched Spence's reaction told you that he didn't like it. From like the couple headshots he caught him with on the counter, to when he took his mouthpiece out in the 6th round, and then was punching through. Now, a lot of people have said, why didn't he press the action? Now, to be honest, I think he should have, because to me, you don't stop until the ref says stop, until the ref stops it. But when he got Spence, after he knocked out the mouthpiece, like, Spence looked a little dazed. He's looking at the mouthpiece, then he turns around and then gets hit with a 2-piece, but then the ref is literally standing in the way in front of Ugas. And I don't know, I think like he might have thought, the ref's about to maybe call a knockdown or something because of the way he fell into the ropes, or something like that, or he just thought, well, the ref's here, like, what's next? Because he knows, obviously he knows that the mouthpiece dropped out, so is he about to stop it? I don't know. But the ref, to me, did a very poor job all night. Like, he was a hindrance to that fight, because the fight was, to me, it was a good fight, but like the ref made questionable decisions. Like, he let Ugas get hit with several low blows without, you know, sort of saying anything to Spencer. Spencer's got pride for that, because obviously he did that to Sean Porter quite a bit in their fight. He did it to Kell Brook as well. There was no warnings there, but then the ref's warning Ugas about other things. So you kind of see, okay, which way he's leaning. And, you know, he was just begging for a reason to stop the fight, because Ugas kept throwing, so he couldn't stop the fight to say, oh, well, he can't defend himself. He would do enough so the ref couldn't stop the fight, in terms of, oh, like, you're taking too much for beating and you're not being competitive back. But yeah, he went to the doctor twice and finally got the fight stopped on the eye. The doctor said, well, yeah, it's a bad one. And he's like, okay, cool, wave it off. And Errol Spence finally gets his a KO on his record again, after how many years? What, three and a half years, something like that. Although, you know, I guess he wants a man down, then that man never went down. So does it really count if the doctor stops it, as opposed to, you know, like the ref? Because it's not like, oh, you got beat up and the ref's like, oh, nope, I got to jump in here, you're taking too much, and get stopped on your feet. And getting stopped because of the doctor is not the same. But it is what it is. So congrats to Spence. Afterwards, he called out, like, finally a proper call out to Terrence Crawford. Not no, well, you know, I beat him. No. He went and he said, I want him. I'm gonna take his belt. And, you know, Crawford was on Twitter saying, okay, like, you know, no more talking, no more sides of the street. Let's get it. He said, keep those belts warm for me. I'll come in for them towards the end of the year. So, look, if that happens, great. That's what we've all been wanting. But until such a time as it happens, like, I'm not gonna be optimistic. And if I hear anything about a mandatory beforehand, then yeah, it's all cap. So we will see. And obviously, me and Danny from Fight Fan TV are gonna have a nice little back and forth on this one, especially if it does get made. Because he already knows what time it is. As much as he wants to argue, it's fine. Anyway, look, I'm going to leave it there. I've got a few other things to do today. I'm going to leave the link to the live watch along for Fury versus Whyte in the chat below. If you are in South London, or you can make it, you want to come down, please do so. It'll be good to see people there. Just let me know. Leave your comments in the comment section below, and I will catch you on the next one. But for now, the weekend wrap is done. Thank you very much, and I will catch you on the next video.